Billionaire CEO forced the single dad to give investing advice as a joke, then froze at his first tip. The annual charity gala at the Four Seasons was in full swing, crystal chandeliers casting golden light over Manhattan's elite. Victoria Chen, CEO of Chen Global Investments, surveyed the room with the practiced eye of someone who'd built a $3 billion empire before turning 40. Her emerald gown caught the light as she moved through the crowd, accepting compliments and making small talk that meant nothing. That's when she noticed him. He stood awkwardly near the marble bar, clearly out of place in a rented tuxedo that didn't quite fit. His hair was slightly disheveled, and he kept checking his phone with the worried expression of a parent who'd left their child with a babysitter for the first time in months. "Who's that?" Victoria asked her assistant Marcus. "That's Jake Morrison. He's here because his company bought a table. Works in IT for Henderson Corp. Word is he's a single dad. Wife passed away 2 years ago. He usually doesn't come to these things, but his boss insisted." Victoria felt a mischievous impulse rise within her. The evening had been predictable so far. The same faces, the same conversations about market trends and portfolio diversification. Here was someone different, someone real. She approached him with the confidence of someone who'd never been told no. "You look like you'd rather be anywhere else," she said, appearing at his elbow. Jake turned, nearly spilling his ginger ale. His eyes widened as he recognized her. Everyone in finance knew Victoria Chen's face. "Ms. Chen, yes, honestly, I would be. My daughter Emma has a science project due Monday, and I should be helping her with it." "How old is Emma?" 7. She's building a model solar system, and apparently, Pluto's status as a planet is very controversial in second grade. Victoria laughed genuinely for the first time that evening. "I imagine it is. So, Jake, may I call you Jake? What do you do at Henderson Corp?" "Database management. Nothing glamorous. I make sure numbers go in the right columns and stay there." "Numbers are everything," Victoria said, "though I suspect you know more about that than you're letting on." She'd noticed something, the way his eyes had briefly scanned the room, calculating, observing. "Tell me, if you had to give me one piece of investment advice right now, what would it be?" Jake looked uncomfortable. "I'm not qualified to—" "Humor me," Victoria interrupted, loud enough that several nearby guests turned. "In fact, everyone, gather around. This gentleman is going to give me investment advice." Her voice carried across the room, drawing a crowd. She saw Jake's face flush red. "Miss Chen, I really don't think—" "Come on, just one tip. What's the worst that could happen?" She was smiling, expecting some generic advice about diversification or index funds. This would be her entertainment for the evening. The IT guy trying to tell a billionaire CEO how to invest. The crowd pressed closer. Phones appeared, recording. Jake looked like he wanted to disappear into the marble floor. Then something changed in his expression. If she was going to embarrass him, he might as well say what he actually thought. "Sell your position in Nexus Pharmaceuticals," he said quietly. Victoria's smile froze. The room went silent. "What did you say?" Her voice was sharp now, stripped of its playful tone. "Nexus Pharmaceuticals. I know Chen Global has about $340 million invested. You should sell. By Friday, if possible," the crowd murmured. Victoria's mind raced. Chen Global's position in Nexus was confidential, not public information. How did an IT manager at a mid-tier firm know the exact amount? "That's quite specific," she said carefully. "Why Friday?" Jake glanced around at the crowd, then back at Victoria. He'd gone this far. "Because on Monday morning, the FDA is going to announce they're rejecting Nexus's flagship drug application. The stock will drop 60% before lunch. But that's not public information yet, so if you sell now, it'll just look like normal portfolio rebalancing. Wait until Monday, and it'll look like insider trading, even if it isn't." The room erupted in whispers. Victoria's hand unconsciously went to her phone. She caught Marcus's eye, and he was already pulling up Nexus's data. "How could you possibly know that?" Victoria demanded. "The FDA announcement schedule isn't public. Are Are you confessing to insider trading at a charity gala? No. Jake's voice was steady now. The nervousness had been replaced by something else. Competence. I don't have inside information. I have pattern recognition and publicly available data. Nexus's drug trial results were published last month. If you actually read the full study, not just the abstract, and compare their efficacy numbers to the FDA's historical approval thresholds for that drug category, the rejection is obvious. They're 2% below the minimum threshold. The company is spinning it as a success, but the math doesn't lie. Anyone could have read that study, someone in the crowd challenged. Yes, Jake agreed. But most people don't. They read headlines and trust analysts who also don't read the source data. I do read it. Every night, after Emma goes to bed, I spend 2 hours reading clinical trials, SEC filings, patent applications, the actual primary sources, not for my job. Just because I'm good with data and I'm trying to build a college fund on an IT manager's salary. Victoria stared at him. Marcus appeared at her side, phone in hand, showing her the Nexus clinical trial results. Jake was right. The numbers were right there. Why tell me this? Victoria asked. Why not just short the stock yourself and make millions? Jake laughed bitterly. With what capital? I have $47,000 in savings. After rent, Emma's school, and keeping her in the activities she loves, that's what 4 years of careful investing has given me. I could short Nexus, sure, but the maximum I could make would be maybe $15,000, and I'd risk losing everything if I'm wrong. You asked for advice. I gave you the same advice I'd give myself if I had your resources. The honesty in his voice cut through the room's skepticism. Victoria made a decision. Marcus, get me Sarah Chen on the phone, now. She turned back to Jake. Sarah is my sister and our chief investment officer. If you're right about this, you've just saved our fund, and our investors, about $200 million in losses. And if I'm wrong, Jake asked, then you'll have embarrassed yourself at a party you didn't want to attend anyway, Victoria said. But her mind was already moving. Tell me something else. The data analysis you do, you could be doing this professionally. Why aren't you? Because professional analysts work 82-hour weeks, travel constantly, and I have a 7-year-old daughter who's already lost one parent. I'm not losing her childhood chasing money. The IT job pays enough, ends at 5:30 and lets me be home for dinner and homework and bedtime stories. That's worth more than any salary. Victoria felt something shift inside her, respect certainly, but also recognition. She'd built an empire but had no one to go home to, nothing but empty penthouses and charity galas where she mocked strangers for entertainment. What if you could do both, she asked. Consult for Chen Global, remotely, on your own schedule. We send you potential investments. You analyze them when Emma's asleep. Send us your assessments. Name your rate. Jake blinked. What? You see patterns others miss because you actually do the work. That's rare. I can't offer you a full-time position because you won't take it, and frankly, I respect that. But I can offer you the flexibility to use your talent without sacrificing your priorities. The crowd watched in stunned silence as the billionaire CEO negotiated with the single dad in the ill-fitting tuxedo. I'd need it in writing that there's no minimum hours, and I can decline any assignment if it interferes with Emma's life, Jake said carefully. Done. Anything else? Yeah. You apologize for trying to embarrass me as a joke. Victoria Chen, who'd never apologized in a business setting in her life, felt her face flush. But he was right. She'd been cruel, even if it had led somewhere unexpected. You're right. I'm sorry. That was beneath me. Jake nodded. Apology accepted. And Miss Chen? Sell Nexus by Friday. By Monday morning, the news had broken. The FDA rejected Nexus's drug. The stock plummeted. Chen Global had liquidated its position on Thursday afternoon, saving exactly $204 million. And Victoria Chen had gained something more valuable than profit, a reminder that wisdom doesn't always come in expensive suits, and the people you overlook might be the ones who see most clearly.